State of Florida versus Joe. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, evidence will show. The State of Florida will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Joe is guilty of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and battery by strangulation. The state will prove that Joe assaulted Tina by attempting strangulation when she sought help. Joe attempted to scare her by cocking a firearm and chambering a round while she was on the phone with 911. The state will prove that Joe has a history of violence against Tina. The state will prove that Tina was in fear for her life. The defense will try to place doubt, but the state will prove that Joe is guilty of these charges and should receive the maximum sentence for these charges under law. The state will also provide an expert witness that will analyze the characteristics that Tina displays as a victim of perpetual domestic violence.
Please state your name and occupation.
My name is Marla and I'm a 911 dispatcher.
And how long have you been a dispatcher?
For about 15 years.
Were you working on December 1st, 2010?
Yes, I was.
And did you receive a call from a young woman in distress named Tina?
Yes, I did.
And could you please tell me what was said during your conversation?
Well, when she first called, all I could hear was a lot of yelling and screaming. Then, as she started to speak, I could hear her explain that there was a guy taking her things and throwing things, and the yelling and screaming continued throughout the entire conversation. It was kind of hard to hear some of it. But then I heard a gun cock. Right after that, she asked me not to send anybody, and I told her I had already sent somebody. There was somebody on the way.
Okay, thank you very much. Please state your name and occupation.
Officer Smith, and I am a police officer.
Officer Smith, did you respond to the 911 call to the residence in question?
Yes, I did.
And please describe to the court your observations of the victim's mental state when you arrived.
Well, when I arrived, Tina was clearly in a state of disarray. She seemed very flustered, and it was very difficult to calm her down. In fact, it took about 5 minutes for me to calm her down when I first arrived.
And was she very emotional?
Oh, very, very much so.
And did it seem that Tina had been under the influence of alcohol or drugs at all prior to this incident?
Not from what I could tell. Her breath did not smell of alcohol. Her eyes were normal.
According to your statement, you observed the fact that the door was torn off its hinges and there was a mark on the wall, which was consistent with a phone being thrown. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Officer Smith, in your 10 years of experience, would you say that the condition of the house and the victim's state of mind is consistent with that of a victim of domestic violence?
I would say so. Over my years and experience, I've found that nobody is calm after a domestic violent dispute, and her actions and her reactions were very consistent with domestic violence.
Thank you very much. No further questions.
Please state your name for the court.
Tina?
Tina, were you involved in a domestic violence dispute on the night of December 1st, 2010?
Well, it was more like an argument. I was just...
Remember, Tina, you are under oath.
Yes, it was.
How long have you been dating Joe?
We've been together 11 months.
In the past 11 months, is this the first time that Joe has gotten violent with you?
No, it is not.
Could you tell the court what happened on the night in question?
I woke up, my phone had been ringing, and Joe was yelling at me, and he had his hands on my neck. he was angry. There was a number on the phone, and it came through. I didn't know who it was, but he was so angry, and he just kept yelling at me. And then he took my phone and he threw it.
Is that all that happened?
No, he told me that I was gonna suffer if I called the cops, and he pulled out a gun. I was so scared, I didn't know what to do.
Thank you, Tina. No further questions.
State your name and your credentials, please.
My name is Flora Finkelstein, and I have a PhD in psychology, specializing in domestic violence.
In your expert opinion, after reviewing the facts of the case, do you believe Tina displays characteristics of perpetual domestic violence?
Yes, I do believe Tina displays characteristics of domestic violence. She also displays characteristics of what is known as battered woman syndrome.
Can you please elaborate on the meaning of that?
Well, battered woman syndrome has 4 basic characteristics. The woman often believes that the violence was or is her fault. The woman believes she has the inability to place the responsibility for the violence elsewhere. The woman fears for her life and has an irrational belief that the abuser is everywhere and is constantly watching her to catch her.
Is it true, Joe, you have been dating Tina since January 2010?
That sounds about right.
Please describe your relationship over the course of the past year.
I don't understand the question.
Let me rephrase. Would you say you have had several disputes?
Yeah. No more than normal.
Would you say that it's possible that Tina is afraid of you?
Sure, yeah, I guess it's possible.
Were you at Tina's house on the night in question?
Yes, I was there.
Did you or did you not throw her phone at the wall in a fit of jealous rage?
Yes, that is correct.
And it is also correct that you do own a black Glock handgun.
Yes.
Isn't it true that you've threatened Tina in the past?
Yeah, that's correct.
No further questions.
The fact of domestic abuse cannot be ignored in this case. Tina was obviously under great duress due to her boyfriend over their relationship of 11 months. Our expert witness had illustrated that Tina fits the description, per her and other testimonies, that she is a victim of domestic violence and battered woman syndrome. In addition, Joe repeatedly made threats to Tina about trying to contact the police or her family in regards to his violence. This is reinforced by the fact that once the dispatcher heard the gun cock over the telephone, Tina was suddenly very afraid and didn't want any law enforcement assistance. Secondly, this proves that the boyfriend did in fact have a handgun and that they were fighting during the duration of the call. Thirdly, the officer that arrived at the scene of the crime described Tina as having a typical demeanor of a domestic abuse victim. She was very flustered and panicked. In summary, it is quite obvious that Tina's boyfriend, Joe, had been domestically abusing Tina and threatening her and her family if she were to seek help.